Welcome to the question of the day. Today's question comes from Jason in North Carolina. And Jason has the question, how do I get Google reviews? He goes on to say, my boss is asking that I get more Google reviews turned in. I've been asking my customers, but nothing's coming in. How do I get Google reviews? That's a fantastic question, Jason. Thank you for submitting. Google reviews. Yeah, this is an amazing tool. And from a company standpoint, companies want Google reviews, right? They want to have more Google reviews and they want to have good Google reviews. But what a lot of people don't know or don't think about is Google reviews. You can also leverage this for your own sales, for your own purposes. So you can help the company, but you can also help yourself. And I'll go into how we do that here. But let's talk for a moment about how are Google reviews helpful, right? Well, there's tons of studies that go into uh, what makes a customer purchase, what makes a customer uh, make a big financial decision. And even Google did their own study last year. And two of the top three reasons that a customer makes a purchase is they're looking for a company that they can trust, and they're looking for a company that is reliable. Well, two really great ways to see if a company is trustworthy and if they're reliable would be to check the Google reviews. Really, if you think about it, Google reviews, this is the truest sense of the experience you're going to get. This is the ultimate litmus test of what is the experience you're going to get, because this isn't an advertisement by the company. These are customers that have already had work done by the company, and then they're scoring how it went on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 star to 5 stars, and then leaving comments specifically what went well or what didn't go well, right? So this is the truest example of what is the experience you're going to get. So customers, they're going to check Google reviews, right? And Google reviews, it's hard to maintain a good score. To have like a 5.0 or anything close to a 5.0, you really have to deliver a good experience here, because the Google scores are an average, right? And if you can have a 5 star, a 5 star, a 5 star, and then if you get just 1 star, it's really going to drag that average down, and it's going to make it tough to recover. You got to get a lot more 5 stars to offset that 1 star review that you got there. That's why um, companies, when they get a 1 star review, really you want to avoid getting those. And if you do get them, a lot of companies reach out afterwards and try to solve that problem for the customer in exchange for them taking that 1 star review down, because that's the only way you can get rid of that 1 star review or a poor review. And it hurts a lot. So one thing to help with that, though, is get a lot of reviews in. When you get a lot of reviews in, if we're talking about thousands of reviews and you get that 1 star review, it's not going to have as much of an effect as if you only got 20 reviews in, right? If you only got 20, one is going to drag that down quite a bit. So the more reviews you have, the more that it'll offset that score. So that's why your company wants you to get a lot of reviews. The other thing that a lot of reviews gets you is uh, reputation, that reputation that you're a company that can be trusted. So if you're a company that can be trusted, that means you've done this lots of times. And if you've done this lots of times, you should have a lot of reviews. So if a customer goes on, even if they see like a 4.9 Google score, if it's only 20 reviews, that gives me concern. 20 reviews is probably friends and family. That's probably not a lot of customers mixed in there. And I would expect friends and family would give you a 5 star review, right? But if I've got thousands of reviews on there, you know what you're doing. You're the company that I can trust. You're the company with the good reputation. Of course, you're going to cost more because you're the Apple of your industry. So those are the reasons that Google reviews are so important and why we want those Google reviews. But now here's the one thing that a lot of salespeople don't think about is these reviews can actually help you get sales in the future. The obvious one is, well, when your company has a better Google score and thousands of reviews, it's easier to sell because you're the company that can be trusted, right? And so customers are more likely to see you as trustworthy and want to move forward with you, right? But the other thing you can do is if you do this right, if you do it exactly how I'm going to lay it out here in a moment, you can get your name tied to those Google reviews. So if we can get the customers to leave comments and insert our name in there, when a new customer goes to look at those reviews, they're going to see Chris is awesome. Chris is great. Chris took care of us. Chris. They're going to ask for Chris because they saw your name all over the place. That's getting you future business, future sales, because you're benefiting the company with lots of Google scores, good Google scores, but you're also benefiting yourself because you're advertising yourself within there. So here's how I do this. First thing is, now Jason comes from the trades here, and so I'm going to speak as if this is a trades example, but really this can apply to any industry, any sales. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure we did a good job first, right? So I'm going to do this after the repair is done or after the work is done. I'm either going to connect with the customer, or if it's like some type of installation, I'm going to come back after the installation is done, because I want the work to be done and I want them to be satisfied. Now, I'm going to test the waters first. And so I have a question that I'm going to ask. It's just a very vague question, but that question is, how did everything go? So I want to test things out there, because if they say it sucked, yeah, this was broken, that leaked, they didn't follow through on this, they got my carpet dirty, First off, I got to fix those things to deliver a good customer experience. But second, I'm not going to ask for a Google review then, because I know what kind of Google review that's going to be. They're waiting for an opportunity to light me up with a 1-star review. And so in that scenario, I'm not going to ask for a Google review. But you delivered a good experience with this customer. They are completely satisfied. And so they're going to answer, yeah, went fantastic. We love it. And that's when you're going to say, yep, I knew it. Our installers are the best. And so I'm glad you had a good experience. And then I'm going to follow up with this. I'm going to say, we love hearing from our happy customers in the form of a Google review. In fact, selfishly, I love seeing my name tied to these Google reviews. In fact, I happen to have I have the Google review up here on my iPad. If you wanted, you could just give us a Google review right now, or I can send you a link to do it later. Which would you prefer? So here's what I did there. I was ready for this conversation. Most salespeople have like an iPad or something like that. Have that Google review ready to go on that iPad, so that all the customer has to do is input their username and password. That's the only thing. Most customers know what that username and password is. And if they don't, they figure it out pretty quick. 99 times out of 100, they're going to get that username and password. But by having it teed up, I'm creating a path of less resistance. I have it ready to go. So as a customer, all I got to do is take that and input that Google review. Plus, I just had a good experience. And you said we love hearing from our happy customers. So I want to help you out. It's reciprocity. Because you uh, completely satisfied me, I want to help in return, right? And so you're suggesting that I fill this thing out and you got the iPad ready to go. Of course, I'm going to take that. So most customers are going to do it on the spot right there. And if they do it on the spot right there, they're going to give you a 5-star review. They're completely satisfied, they love you, and they're standing right in front of you. Because if they're standing 2 feet from me and they give me a 1-star review, that's pretty cold-hearted right there. So odds are I'm going to get a 5-star review. And the other thing I said, selfishly, I love seeing my name attached to these things. And so they're going to write a comment in there. They're going to say, Chris was awesome. And that's how I get my name associated with those Google reviews. And if by chance you get the customer that says, nah, just send it to us, we'll do it later. Great, send them the link. But you don't have much control of it at that point. If you do it this way, check in to see if they're completely satisfied after the work or repair was completed. Tell them we love hearing from our happy customers in the form of Google reviews. Selfishly, I love seeing my name attached to these things, and then have it teed up ready to go. Or I can send the link after. Which would you prefer? I'm giving them an either or. If you follow that process, you will get more Google reviews, you will get better Google reviews, and your name will be attached to them. That's the question of the day. If you have a question, submit your question on social media or email it to me. I'll have that in the show notes here. Let's get your questions answered on the show. If you're an X-Star member, let's schedule a call one-on-one. Let's dive into your specific questions and your specific scenarios and come up with specific solutions just for you. I'm Coach Chris. We'll see you tomorrow.